What's going on, guys? T2RX6 here, back for another third-party review, and today we're taking a look at the DX-9, who I formerly understand is Unique Toys' Salmoore.
This is a Skullface warning. The following video may be biased due to one man's unexplainable love for an 80s toy line. The opinions within this video are the opinions of the reviewer himself and should not be taken for fact but used as a means to form your own thoughts.
Yes, thanks, Bobby, for pointing out that I am a huge GoBots fan. I will do my best to try to make this not a biased review here. Real quick before we actually get started, look at this box. I adore this box. I really want to take this box, cut out the front, and put it in a picture frame, because for some reason I just love all the artwork on it. I think they did a great job with this. Inside the box, of course, you get Salmoore himself, and you get these little spike plate accessory things which go on in robot mode. I guess I'll show you them. I don't really particularly care about these things. These are more of a rec guard thing. For me, they're staying in the box. One thing I did want to point out is that these spikes are extremely sharp. How sharp are they? Yeah, so basically, I think I'd feel like I could kill a man breaking into my house with these things. They're so darn sharp. So let's take a look at Salmoore himself. And you know what? Let's stop calling him Salmoore because he's Psykill. And he is an impressive looking, like, rat type chopper. Pretty nice. I like it. The chrome work just looks amazing. Really nice job on the chrome work here. No complaints. If I did have any complaints about the motorcycle mode, it's that these little handlebars, the way they peg on here, it's just on a little ball joint. Actually, when I opened it, I thought I was missing one of the handlebars. It turns out it just popped off in shipping and was at the bottom of the box, so be careful of them. I put a little bit of future floor polish. This is what it looks like, a bottle like this, if you're looking to get some. Really nice for tightening up joints and stuff, and I'm hoping it'll keep these from popping off quite as easy. I've also used it on the, if you've watched any other reviews, the wobbly legs, but we'll get to that in a little bit. The only other thing, this particular pipe on mine doesn't really peg in very nice on here. It's actually a pretty weak pegged in connection. I might end up putting a little bit of future floor polish in there, but usually once you've actually got this pipe pegged on in, it's really not a problem. You got a nice, kickstand, does its job, works really well. The wheels are rubberized and they roll amazingly. No complaints. If he had 4, I have no doubt that he'd just keep rolling. In terms of his size, he pretty much is going to do pretty good for any like deluxe size thing. Or a figure arts. You can get someone like your Kamen Rider double here to look pretty good sitting on the back of that bike. No real complaints on that size. G.I. Joe's it's not going to work for, way too big for a G.I. Joe. Quick comparison, here is your Voyager Springer for comparison on vehicle modes here. And what is a review if we don't actually bring out the original Psykill? And I'm disappointed because I do have somewhere, I just don't know where, the leader, or whatever it is, the Super GoBot Psykill, and I can't find them for this review, and I wanted to show that comparison, but actually this is a better one to look at because the way the wheels mount on this guy is, the right it's supposed to, and that's how Salmoore works. So let's actually get Salmoore transformed here, and we're going to start by taking off these guns. And you can leave these extended or retract them, whichever you want. The instructions say they're supposed to be retracted as a gun, but I mean, obviously you can have a larger barrel if you want. And you have to kind of get in there, and it's a bit difficult for me. My friend Skullface just kind of fell out there, but mine, the pegs are pretty tough to get out on both of these, so let's just do that again for this other side. And we're going to transform them from bike mode to robot mode and then back to bike mode because there's some tricks for getting him transformed. So there you go, we got the 2 guns, we got the handles out, and we'll just put them to the side. We're going to come back here. First thing to do, before we forget it, swing the kickstand all the way back up. And then come back to the back of the bike and unpeg carefully this wheel here from the back of the bike. Now these are a little bit wobbly, these I guess they're shocks for the bike, but that's okay. The little bit of wiggle room in them actually makes it easier to get the wheel on, and we can put that to the side. This one is a little bit more scary because these are attached, so you kind of have to carefully bend the plastic a little bit. I'm not a huge fan of that, but it is what it is. So once you got this, yeah, he's parts formed. You took the wheels off. Who cares? The original Sidekill's parts formed. The original Sidekill parts forms too, except the Super GoBot, which is wrong. So the next thing to do, take these and kind of, well, I guess we'll get to them after. We'll start with this back leg. It's easier to do that. Unpeg the seat from this and rotate this around, and this little piece actually folds on in. It only folded out for the purpose of making his motorcycle mode look better, so props to them for that. Rotate this all the way around so you have the hinge joint, you know, going towards the tank of the motorcycle. And then we can take this and kind of fold this all back up here like so, and you'll see that these springs now kind of clip on the knee. They don't really work super great on this one, but they will stay in position. And then once you have that, just take the seat of the bike, bring it and rotate it around, and we've got one leg done, and we want it to look something like this. The next thing we're going to do, and this happened in the process, is that we unpeg this piece from the motorcycle. And once we have this unpegged, you can actually, instead of working on the next leg, rotate this whole waist assembly down and then flip this little red piece back in and rotate it around like so. And so now we got this. Unfold everything here like that. Bring this and rotate it around like that so it becomes the back of the leg. Now we'll unpeg this little white piece from here, and you can flip up the little wheel well here. And then this one actually does peg in place pretty strong, and it actually does hold this whole piece together a lot nicer. So once we have that, we can actually get this whole white assembly a little bit moved out and kind of fold those handlebars on in. Take this, flip it around like so, flip the little yellow headlight, and just kind of fold this up in place like this. And there we go. We've got Sidekill's legs here, and you can see it's a little uneven, but clearly this mold was actually created for Wreck-Gar and then repurposed in the Sidekill, but you know what? I'm okay with it. It doesn't bother me. The next thing to do is these arms, and these arms are a pain, and if you actually look at mine, you can see, maybe if it'll focus, maybe you won't see it. I actually have some plastic that's kind of broken off from trial and error. Yeah, this side's a little bit better. You can see it's chunked up from trial and error on getting this to work. That's the one thing I really dislike about this toy. This arm assembly could have been better. How I would have liked to have seen it would have been is this engine piece here is what actually causes the problem. If they had some way that this thing could like slide down to allow free motion of the arms, it would be way better. As it stands, it doesn't, so you just kind of have to mess with it a whole bunch and get it to work. Now, I did learn a trick from my good friend Skullface here. We take these arms, unpeg them carefully like this, and once you have it like this, what you want to do is put a little bit of force on this to move it just a little bit away from this, and rotate this guy all the way around like that. Once you have this guy rotated as far as you can kind of work this piece out while you're kind of working that shoulder joint, and it should come clear without scraping too much into the chrome piece here. And you can see, you know, it is chunked up, but it's on the back and it's hidden in a way that it really doesn't bother me too much. I wish I knew the trick before I had tried. The instructions are super unclear as to how that works. So once you have the one out, the second arm becomes a lot easier because you have more room to work with. And you can see it just kind of folds on out and totally avoids this piece if you're careful. The next thing to do, obviously you can see his head sitting here. Take his head, flip it all the way out, then fold these little chrome bits on in like so. And this is not necessarily my favorite setup to have this, hollow here only covered by the chrome. But at the same time, it's not horrible considering the way everything collapses in, and it has to be that way. And frankly, I don't look at it from the back of the toy. I will point out, well, I'll point it out when we're going back to his motorcycle mode here. So there we go. We've got Salmoore here. The last thing to do is get in here and and this can be difficult just because there's nothing really good to grip this by. But you gotta flip out these little things and rotate the little ball joint out on both sides. Yeah, a little bit of extra material here would have been nice, and it is a small flaw, but I can kind of look past it, and I don't know, maybe that is the fanboy part of me looking past it, but it doesn't bother me a huge amount. The one thing that does bother me is that these things don't peg in anywhere, so they have this tendency to flop about. So again, I don't play with my toys, it's probably not going to be a big deal, but it is something to be aware of. And there we go. We've got Salmoore here in his robot mode. Let's move him back so we can get him all on camera. You can now take these wheels, of course, and just like Cykill is supposed to, you can put these bad boys right on his arm, just like that. And the stab weapons, if you really want, plug right into here, encapsulating the wheel to give him that shielded look. For wreck guard purposes, actually, you're going to be able to peg this in to his arm and use it kind of like a shield that way, which I think is cool and makes very, it's going to make a really nice looking kind of disjointed motorcycle robot. So yeah, so there's Salmoore. Of course, you can give him his guns, because what robot can't carry their guns? I'm sure there's one out there. It's probably a knockoff though. So let's talk articulation on this guy. You got his head on a ball joint here, so you get a pretty good range of motion. He does look down enough for my taste, not looking down at his toes or anything. That's a limit to his head, but he does pretty good, and upwards really not a problem just because of the way his head transforms. You can kind of get a little bit more out of him, but he looks down enough to be menacing in my opinion. And before we go on, let's actually take a look at that face, because man, Unique Toys has done some amazing paint apps, I really have to say. Good job on that. This little chest piece here is a clear light pipe section. I'm not really sure why they decided to do that. I think it just would have looked better if it was a painted yellow piece, but who cares, whatever, no big deal. Range of motion on this guy, you got the in and out like this. The wheels will hinder it a tiny bit. You get a little bit more range without them. You got the 360, of course. You got the bicep swivel. You got a double jointed elbow for great range of motion. And then the hands are on a ball joint, but because of how they sit in there, they only rotate. Coming down here, you do have the waist. You do have the universal joint here, back and forth, up and down. Now these are like a mushroom peg type thing sitting inside here. Again, I've taken this apart because his legs are more floppy than this. They're still a little bit floppy. They probably could use some more, but I put some future floor polish on the actual pegs inside here, and that really tightened them up. I highly recommend doing it. It's a total of 3 screws to take it off to fix it, so no big problem. You do have the thigh swivel, and then you have a great range of motion on the knee, and then in both cases you do have a little bit of toe tilt, I guess, because it's not really an ankle. So yeah, I mean, I think he's a fantastic toy. If you're not into GoBots, I don't know, I still think he's worth getting. I think he's a fun robot, but maybe you just want to wait till you can get Splinter / Wreck-Gar. I can't really, fault you if that's how you feel, but I do think that this is a mold that's worth buying. Just keep in mind that he is a motorcycle mode mold and does have, some limitations that you get alongside of the motorcycles. So there we go. There's our original Cykill here. You can see wheels on the shoulders, so looks good, no complaints there. Let's actually get a couple other guys here that we can compare him to. Here's your classics. Bumblebee, and here is the Unique Toys Mania King. I think he does a great size comparison between these two. He can fit your Masterpiece. He's going to be about the size of a Masterpiece car, so if that bothers you, maybe that's not the best choice. And there's Orion, just for comparison purposes. So let's get this guy transformed back into his motorcycle mode and let's call it a day. We'll take off all his accessories here, because you have to. Come back around to the back here, flip out these little pieces, and this does bring one thing, other thing about this toy that I don't like. When you're putting that out, you can see that this gap here, it kind of pushes in. It's like something here needs to be screwed in tighter or something. I'm not entirely sure how to fix it, but it does kind of pull the toy apart here as you're working on this, so I don't really like that, but I guess I'll let it go. To open these, it's much easier to actually open them with this fist out, because you can push down on the fists, rotate them out and in, take his head, rotate it all the way back and into position here, and make sure that we don't have him stuck. There we go, like that. The next thing to do is, of course, going to be these arms, and again, it's best to point them so the shoulders are up like that, and then you can get it in and rotate it all the way around like so. And then we'll do that again for this other side here. Take it, rotate it all the way around and past, and then peg this all in together like this. From here, you kind of make sure that this is all collapsed on in like this, and you fold. The instructions will tell you to fold it like this, but I just kind of usually wait for a second here. The next thing to do is make sure you rotate this the right way. Make sure that your front of your bike is going to be what collapses on into here, and we're set with that. Now we want to rotate this, and we'll unpeg all of these pieces here like this. And actually I was wrong about rotating it. We want to rotate the blue piece, and then all of this is going to collapse, and you can see that the front piece is going to tab in to those little ports here, so you kind of have to move the arms to compensate, plug it in, and then you can go ahead and fold everything on in, and that'll get you the exact proper positioning of these pieces here. Alright, sorry about that, guys. Thought I was going to sneeze there for a second. So now we'll come around here and we'll flip these handles on out like so. Flip this piece on around, and it can be a little bit difficult because of the way you're swiveling it past things, but you know, no real big deal. And then plug the top of the handles into the steering forks here. And I find it's easiest to put one of them in and then come back and do the other, assuming you get it lined up properly, because they never seem to push in at the exact same time. For me, it's always this right hand side one that actually has to go in first, otherwise it doesn't seem to really work for me. So you got that. We then take the light, close that up, move the wheel well into position, and then we come back to the back foot, rotate this little red piece down, which gives you the extra clearance we need to drop this down. And I always kind of forget, we want to take this piece here and rotate it all the way around so you get the whole range of motion downwards. Actually, do you get it this way? Okay, it doesn't matter, this top piece here. I always think it does, but it doesn't. We just want that to kind of be able to collapse up into itself. So we take this, we'll unpeg all this stuff, we'll take the foot and rotate it around to make it the back of the bike again. You can fold it back on the seat. You want to take this piece here and kind of swing it on out. You'll see as we kind of put it in position, it's gonna make it so it fits properly. You kind of have to rotate the bike seat up here, or the leg up, so you can kind of hook it into the tank here, and then you can rotate everything down. And everything should be in place. That little black piece that's hiding things should be there. So we got that. Just make sure that the back of our bike is straight. And then we can go ahead and plug in our wheels like this. And I have a little adult OCD apparently. I need the brakes to be in, you know, roughly the right place. Do that again for the front, like so. Everything's all pegged in. Make sure our front wheel well looks fine. And then move the kickstand on down. Move the camera on down. Fold in our handles. Plug it in. And then extend this little piece and plug it in. And again for this other side, take this handle, plug it in, extend, and plug it in. So there we go. There's Salmoore back in his motorcycle mode. Handle flip down again. I think he's a great toy. I think whether you are a GoBot fan or not, you should get this mold. At least get the Splinter when it comes out. I think he's going to be a pretty awesome looking wreck car. So yeah, I like this. If you're a GoBot fan, no brainer, you need it. So this is T2RX6. I hope you guys enjoyed the review, and I'll see you next week.